all these rejections from the middle Bollinger Band.
Resistance we're going to need.
If you actually see here, we get a
And we'll look for a healthy higher
I
low.
would not
don't have
be
a
convinced
pullback
to
across
enter
the
long
trend.
trade.
Hey crypto friends, hope you're well. Before we look at Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, and BCH, want to touch again on a point that I made in a previous video where how I feel that the bias with the exchanges and big money that is set to benefit from interest in the cryptocurrency space, why I feel that they have a vested interest in making a bull break. So yesterday we saw a very limited trading day, very low activity, low volume, low trading range. And the video that we made, we've been making videos for over a year at this point, so we have a really good back testing source of data. It was the lowest views in the video that we've seen in months at this point. The comments were the lowest, just a ton of a lack of interaction. And the reason for that is because there was not much going on and people aren't interested. So if we break bearish, the shorts are going to have plays. And when I say break bearish, I mean in the long-term weekly equilibrium pattern. The shorts will have plays, but it's going to drive a lot of interest out of this space. So if our numbers, our course sales are off to the slowest first week of a month in a long time, probably ever. So again, all of these metrics can be measured with analytics in terms of interest in the sector and new people coming into the sector. And if we're seeing this kind of, pullback and little blip in the numbers, I promise you that these exchanges are seeing tens of millions of dollars less in terms of fees and trading. The more volatility, the more trading opportunity, the more these exchanges make in fees. And I promise you right now, Coinbase is going, uh-oh, we just invested all this money. We just made a ton of money and invested a ton of it, and things are slowing down. What if this growth was just a blip? What if cryptocurrency fades away? Their entire business model gets tossed out the window for the next few years if we get I won't say a few years, for the next 6 months if we get a bear break on this weekly time frame, in my opinion. So Bitcoin on the daily chart is getting really tight. We're watching our high, low of the pullback, lower high just under it, and now maybe our higher low. The bulls did a decent job of buying the dip today. We're still in the tight range. That's very clear at this point, and we're not going to break until this weekend, in my opinion, which is over the next 2 days. We're either going to see a bear break of 75.36.58, or we're going to see a bull break of 77.77 and continuation. And that is going to shape our weekly candlestick. So we have 2 trading days left to go. So far, not impressive at all. No confirmation. We need to move up towards 8,000 to confirm the bullish reversal candlestick on the weekly time frame and to make us confident, okay, now our weekly higher low is set. We're very confident of that, and we're looking to head back into the mid 8,000 range to continue to tighten up this weekly equilibrium pattern. So how this daily equilibrium breaks is going to be pretty important, because if we get a bear break, we're heading right back down to low 7,000s, bull break up to 8,000. So pretty big difference. And this weekend, I say this weekend because we're really running out of time in terms of how tight we're getting before a move is imminent. And the volume is just steady across the board, not much going on with volume. 4-hour time frame, we pulled back. Every single time we've had a pullback here, it's been an entry opportunity. And as far as the alerts go, we're currently in our beta testing and opening it up to some current members to ensure everything's good to go for the real launch. It's going to be rebranded as coinalerts.com. But before that goes, it's still firing off these 15-minute oversold conditions. And the 15-minute RSI hitting 20 when the hourly RSI is oversold, 3 for 3 now, has been the trigger for these 4-hour higher lows. So higher lows being set on these 15-minute and hourly signals. So 15-minute RSI sets off an oversold climax alert. We just saw one extra leg down and then a big time bull move with volume behind that big spike up. And at that point in time, the hourly RSI was oversold. So now we're seeing very healthy hourly consolidation on Bitcoin, trying to establish a higher low, very low bear volume. And then the bulls need to see a break of 7,665 for continuation. So very nice recovery. The 4-hour time frame, higher lows are very clear at this point, and the bulls are just trying to see continuation up to this 7,777 resistance that we have been keeping an eye on. So overall, another scenario where the bulls are comfortable, and it would require falling back down to 7,530s in order to change that. And we'll see if we can get continuation overnight tonight, which would set the bulls up pretty nicely heading into this weekend for the potential of this bull break of this daily equilibrium. So we're watching weekly equilibriums, we're watching daily equilibriums. What does that mean? It means volume's dropping off, volatility is dropping off, trading opportunity is dropping off. I've made one trade in the last maybe 3 or 4 days. And that is not normal in the cryptocurrency space for me, but that's the setup that we currently have. And again, if you are finding yourself giving back profit or struggling in this trading environment, it's because it's not an ideal trading environment. It's very simple. You're trying to do too much with too little to work with. So this is the kind of scenario where you patiently wait and you either work on studying, you go to other sectors like Canadian MJ, and then you come back when the break occurs. So it's all about timing and not over trading and putting yourself in the most favorable scenarios that are going to lead to profit, and tightening equilibriums are not it. So we'll see how tomorrow goes. Ethereum's a little bit of a different setup. We have the daily time frame still consolidating. We have the high low. We did form a lower high here as well in the 615s. And now the bulls are attempting to form a higher low on the daily. It's not as convincing as Bitcoin. We're not as strong on the shorter term time frames. The hourly saw a bullish reversal candlestick. This is actually the 4-hour. Bullish reversal candlestick that didn't confirm or see follow through. And we can see now it's looking like a high, low, lower high. And again, we're still not confident with this higher low because the bulls didn't get follow through. And you look at the hourly consolidation here, way more significant than the Bitcoin consolidation. So the hourly chart for Ethereum is very clearly still in a lower high downtrend with our new resistance of 601.96. And the bulls need an hourly higher low and then a break of that level to change the hourly trend. Whereas Bitcoin on the hourly already broke the lower highs and is now seeing very healthy consolidation. So the hourly timeframes for these two names looks very different. And if we look at the ETH BTC chart, it's going to look bearish, I assume. I haven't looked at it yet, but that's what the information is telling me. And there's that dump. So almost oversold on the hourly time frame and 10 red hours in a row. So very clearly seeing that weakness. And the daily chart pulling back down to lower highs and lower lows. So that's just my preference. My preference for comparing these cryptocurrencies is looking at the USD charts, and then just visually I'm able to pick out the distinct differences. That's not the case for everybody. A lot of people like the BTC pairings, and that's fine as well. Do whatever works for you. But because I'm looking at USD all day because I'm trading it, that is what works for me. So checking in now. So Ethereum, we know we need the hourly higher low and higher high. Bitcoin needs that as well. It's just a lot more likely to see it with its current setup. And now looking at Litecoin. Litecoin's a very similar pattern on the daily, but a little bit weaker as always. High, low, lower high, trying for the higher low, not convinced it's being set yet. So 4-hour bounce attempt is a potential bear flag at this point, not showing a whole lot of strength. We've got a support down here that is still holding, but just barely at this point. And the hourly time frame has broken a couple little lower highs, but we need a higher low and then a higher high with a break of 120 for continuation. So the three of them are in the same standpoint in terms of the hourly chart needing a higher low and then a higher high for continuation. It's just Bitcoin and Litecoin are set up for that scenario a bit better than Ethereum currently is. BCH in comparison, daily chart, equilibrium. High, low, lower high, and trying for the higher low, more of a lower wick, so we're a bit more convinced here. The 4-hour time frame also didn't confirm the reversal candlestick, but it was a very solid bounce. Same thing on the hourly. Need the higher low and higher high. Looks like our higher low was already set here on BCH, and that level is going to be down here at 11:10.23, and resistance to break for continuation is 11:30.64. So again, still a little bit of work to do. Bitcoin and Litecoin are closer to breaking to higher highs. Ethereum and BCH are not. And again, I keep finding these instances where BCH and Ethereum are in a group and Bitcoin and Litecoin are in a group. And the weekly timeframes are that setup. So it's very interesting to watch that pattern continue to play out. And here on the hourly, we're in the same scenario. So that's where we are heading into tonight. 15-minute RSI oversold with the hourly RSI has been good for entries within this tightening daily pattern. We're watching the hourly time frame to see if the bulls can continue with a higher low and higher high. If we get that higher low and higher high overnight tonight, the odds that the daily chart is going to break the equilibrium bullish will shift to favor the bulls. Otherwise, right now where we stand, we're pretty much at a coin flip. And the bulls must break this daily equilibrium bullish. The last thing we want to do is be heading back down to 7,000. That would increase the bear break of the weekly time frame fairly significantly if we do head back down to 7,000. So there's a lot at stake and not a lot going on. So it's very interesting to see that setup. But what that means is the whales with a lot of money can do what they want. There is not a lot of volume and not a lot of liquidity. So a little bit of money goes a long way. And $1 million at the ask right now would go a lot further than $1 million at the ask when there is twice as much volume going on. So it's thinly traded and illiquidity versus thickly traded. I've never referred to it as that, but a lot of liquidity. And again, you know, a couple people with some double-digit million-dollar accounts can decide which way this breaks, really, which is a bit scary if you're in this space, but that's the way it goes. So protect your trades, and let's see if the bulls can pull this one out, as they certainly need to. They had their back against the ropes down here. They got off the ropes a little bit, but they're still taking some punches, and they need to throw the, well, KO punch is nowhere near coming from the bulls. Bulls are just trying to stay alive at this point. The KO punch from the bulls is going to come on the weekly chart, breaking the equilibrium. That's not going to happen in June, in my opinion. July at the earliest. But in my opinion, for that to even happen, we need to see the bulls bounce up, set a lower high in the mid 8,000s, and then pull back and continue to watch this equilibrium pattern tighten. We're not just going to make a move up over 10,000 resistance, in my opinion. So that's where we stand on the big four. These videos shortening up a little bit because there's not a whole lot going on, but there is definitely some key timeframes to be watching. And again, I'd like to highlight the key timeframes to be watching into the next video. And right now it's the daily and the hourly. The hourly showing that short term, and the daily with those equilibriums. I appreciate you continuing to watch. I hope you have a good weekend. In terms of doing good things, let's interact with the elderly. There's a lot to learn from them, and they definitely can use some companionship here and then. And whether it's, you know, just starting a conversation, I'm just thinking of this right now because I've got a older gentleman at the condo complex I'm currently staying at, and he's outside all the time, and we interact and talk and joke around, and it's just really nice. So I suggest doing that as well. You know, I don't want to be an 80-year-old lonely man and have no one to talk to. So that's that. Have a great night. Do good things.